Hey Movie Mavens, welcome back to another video on the B Movies YouTube channel. My name is Bailey and I put the B in B Movies. So this week I just keep getting more and more excited because we're so close to my favorite month of the entire year. And again, I keep saying it, but Elliot and I have so much great content banked for you guys. I'm so excited for just all of the videos we have coming out, all the content I have on my personal Instagram coming out. And so I'm just getting so excited to share this with you and to officially kick off the first Halloween season for the B Movies channel and blog. So I'm just looking forward to sharing all of this time with all of you. So this week, let's just dive right on in. So this week, over on the B Movies blog, we're talking about Love, which is a Judd Apatow show. For some reason, I really just love this show. I don't know if it's because I relate. I understand, like, Mickey being sober, fully understand that. I just get a lot of her behavior, so I don't know if it's that connection, but I just really have come to appreciate the show over the past few years. And so I talk about that a little bit in that piece. I also talk about some of the MTV shows that I really enjoyed in, like, growing up with, and especially into late high school and early college. Things like Made, True Life, some of the more sleeper hits like My Life as Liz, because it was filmed very close to where I grew up, Death Valley PD, things like that. So really excited. And of course Awkward, which we all know. I wrote a full piece on Awkward in and of itself, and that was actually spurred from the research for this piece. So I'm excited for y'all to see the piece that inspired the Awkward piece. We're also doing a spotlight on Micah Monroe, who I know she allegedly doesn't like being labeled as a scream queen, and I totally respect that, but I will say I do think she's a very good horror actress. If you're not sure who Micah Monroe is, she was Jay in It Follows, she was Anna in The Guest, she was Ruth in Significant Others. She's been in several big horror movies and some indie ones as well, and I think she's great. And again, I know she doesn't like being labeled a scream queen, but I do think she's a really good horror actress. We also talk about my comfort shows. These are the shows that Pudge, my friend. These are the shows like when you're sick, or you're having a bad day, or if you are like me and you have to fall asleep with noise on. These are those shows. So for me, it's a lot of low stakes stuff like House and Psych. Gilmore Girls, just things like that I can pop on when I'm writing, or if I've had to do like a lot of, like when I did the Harmony and Horror, that piece, I love that series, but that series I had to take a break in between. So it's just for things like that. It's almost like a palate cleanser for me. So we talk about all of those. And then we talk about what this week's deep dive will be, which is the 2007 made-for-TV movie Devil's Diary, which if you haven't seen it, buckle up, because it's so bad, but I'm obsessed with it, and I've been obsessed with it since I first saw it in high school. I think I saw it on, it plays a lot on Lifetime around, this time of the year. There's another one too called Haunting Sarah, which I promise there will be a piece about at some point, because it's also buck wild. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into that with you shortly. Before we dive into Devil's Diary, let's do our Bite-Sized Sunday teaser. For those that are not familiar, or if you're new to the channel, Bite-Sized Sundays are just a few sentences of a review I do for a movie, just exclusively on Instagram. So it's just on the B Movies Instagram. It's not on the blog, and it usually comes out every Sunday morning, like early morning to early afternoon. And it's just a fun little thing that I decided to do to give you guys more content, and to also just find a spot for some of the movies that I love or hate that don't really constitute a full piece, but I still want to talk about them. And so that's what Bite-Sized Sunday has been filling that requirement for me. And so what I do is on Friday I will tease what the Bite-Sized Sunday will be here, and that's exclusive. I don't tease it anywhere else. So if you're here, get excited because you get to know what Bite Size Sunday is, or try to guess Bite Size Sunday before everybody else. So the teaser for this week's Bite Size Sunday is 70s British art house horror is resurfaced from the depths. But I will say, because I'm not intentionally trying to trick you, this movie is recent. It is not from the 70s. That's just, it's very obvious, at least to me, that it was influenced by a lot of 70s art house movies. So that's your teaser for Bite Size Sunday. So yeah, and just a refresh, all of the blogs that I mentioned, and this is always in the description box below. All of those blogs can be found on bmovies.blog. That's our website. Everything is there. There's also a master content calendar in case you're wondering what to watch. It started in June, so it has June through the rest of the year, and then what we'll do is at the end of the year we'll restart it. But yeah, that's so many treasures await you over on the bmovies blog, and again, it's just bmovies.blog. So actually, there's one more thing I want to say. I lied, we're not quite done with housekeeping. So if you're wondering where I got this super cool shirt, I actually bought it from Not Your Average Babe Co., and I want to give them a shout out because, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. They got their Instagram deleted, and I think they had something like 175,000 followers. They got their Instagram deleted, and they've been trying to rebuild their following, and I can't recommend them enough. Their designs are great. The quality of their clothing is great. I have several pieces from them. Their customer service is so nice. Anytime if you have to email about anything, they are so nice and so responsive. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to Not Your Average Babe Co. This is not sponsored. I am not affiliated with them in any way, but I just really want to give a shout out because they have really cool things. I'm not sure, no promises that this will still be in stock because they are getting ready to do some Halloween drops and they're putting up new merch. So I can't guarantee that this specific shirt will still be in stock, but there are so many things that are horror movie themed, Halloween themed, fall themed, that are so cute and so creative, and you should definitely give them a follow. I'll link their Instagram in the description box below, but you should definitely give them a follow and order from them if you can, because they are awesome. So now Pudge is right here, and he does this thing where he wants me to just scratch his butt, and he acts like a little fart if I don't. So if you're wondering why I'm twitching over here, that's why. Yeah, so I think that is all of the housekeeping out of the way. So without further ado, let's dive into Farhad Mann's 2007 made-for-TV movie, Devil's Diary. So Devil's Diary, immediately, if you grew up with the Inn like I did, you will recognize several of the leads. Most notably, you will recognize Alex Johnson from Instant Star, Marianne McDonald from Degrassi The Next Generation. She played Emma. And you will also recognize Deanna Casaluce, who played Lexi, Alexis, etc. On Degrassi The Next Generation as well. And so first of all, right out of the gate, you have several teen actresses from the Inn. So I was super into this from the minute that I started watching it, because it was 2007. These are people I grew up watching. And I say that I wasn't still a teenager in 2007, but I had grown up since I was 10 or 11 watching these peeps on the Inn. And so I was fully sold from the beginning. So, for those who don't know, Devil's Diary is centered around a teenage girl who comes into possession of a demon-infused diary where anything she writes in it will come true. The catch is it turns you into this hateful, spiteful individual with the color palette of a character from Twilight. It's bizarre, the choices that they made, to CGI her skin tone, because she is it looks like an original like Dawn of the Dead zombie from George A. Romero, and those my horror friends will know what I'm talking about, like that very like that caked on makeup. That's what they make this poor girl look like. And so this diary comes to possession of Ursula, whose best friend is Alex Johnson. And Ursula has some issues. She's unpopular and she's picked on. Alex Johnson, their whole little friend group are picked on by the popular girls, two of which are Mary McDonald and Deanna Castellucci. And so Ursula finds this diary. And initially, it's just some silly things that seem to be coincidences. But then Ursula realizes the power of this diary, especially when it starts speaking to her. And I will say that fortunately, they spared us from anything outside of like some gibberish whispering, because I could honestly see them doing something where it was like a very clear voice. And so Ursula's bullying culminates in her getting even with Marion McDonald's character by leading it's gruesome, by wishing some events that lead to, I'm trying to think of how I can say this for YouTube, by leading Marion McDonald to get injured by a vehicle and it breaks her legs and she's hospitalized. And so that's when Ursula like really snaps. And so she wants to start wishing evil upon the other popular kids who have harmed her. The bad news is the popular girls overhear Ursula and Alex Johnson talking, and then it becomes their mission to get Marion McDonald the diary. So once Marion McDonald gets the diary, she wishes some horrible things on Ursula, and I'm not going to get into all of it here because, I mean, it's harsh. And so Ursula ultimately does not make it, if you catch my drift, which makes Alex Johnson realize how truly dangerous this diary is to those who possess it. And also, unfortunately, for Marion McDonald, Deanna Castellucci decides she's done being second string, and she decides to get rid of Marion McDonald so that she can be the most popular girl in school. So she becomes the most popular girl in school and also writes in the diary to control all of the boys. This means that Alex Johnson's two best guy friends are now under her control, and everyone turns on Alex Johnson. So finally, after a struggle, their poor, Alex Johnson's other friend, that was in her and Ursula's friend group, this poor girl named Effie, who, like, doesn't do anything, and is, like, the smart friend who, like, when stuff goes sour, immediately is like, let's leave, let's get rid of this, and of course nobody listens to her. She winds up getting knocked out, and finally, Alex Johnson gets the diary. Unfortunately, for the 9th time, Alex Johnson, her home life is not great. She is a stepfather who is a booter, and he is a booter in a very bad way. So she uses the diary to make sure he doesn't make it out. And so Then Alex Johnson starts becoming consumed. And this is like, when I tell you, this is one of the most generic looking notebooks. Like, it's not. They tried to make it look a little spooky. It's not. It's very generic. But then she realizes how powerful. And so she goes to her local church to speak with one of the priests, who is Brian Krause, who you might know as Leo from Charmed, because this movie, I feel like Stefan, like, this movie has everything. So she links up with him, and he's like, oh, we need to get this other father here, because, like, he specializes in these things and he can help us. And I don't keep my comments to myself in my piece, but because this is YouTube, I will keep my comments to myself about the spoiler. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds before I say it. But spoiler, it turns out this priest that they go to for help, he has actually been looking for this Devil's Diary. He is satanic. He is a satanic priest. And so there's a big old showdown, and Alex Johnson winds up killing this priest. And then she actually, nobody believes her, because of course no one ever believes women about anything. And she winds up committed. And at the end, she's talking to her mom, who's like, please, like, let me, like, you gotta work with me, like, help me help you get out of here. And Alex Johnson feels like the diary is back, and we cut to a scene with a couple kids, and they have found the Devil's Diary, and so it has indeed returned and is in the hands of yet another teenager. So that is Devil's Diary. It ends with Alex Johnson in a very, if you've seen The Craft, which if you're watching this, I'm sure you've seen The Craft, or you've heard of The Craft, or you know enough about The Craft. If you don't, go watch it. It's a great movie. Definitely a personal fave. It ends with Alex Johnson kind of in the same mindset as Nancy. She's a bit more articulate than Nancy, but that's, I think, the vibe that they were going for. And honestly, with this movie overall, it's like a mix of Mean Girls and The Craft, because it's basically like a burn book that you write in, and what you put in the burn book comes true. And it's, yeah. And so you may think I have watered down the plot of this film. I have not. This is truly, the plot of this movie can be described in a few minutes. And it's just, they try to make some art house choices where they'll use transitions that are just red squares that fade in. Alex Johnson's printer at one point has a sticker on it that's like, girls kick ass, so that you know she's edgy and cool. Ursula looks almost identical to Avril Lavigne, which, I mean, is also just telling of the time period. But when I tell you, I'm not watering down this movie at all. This is just truly the plot. But it's a great movie for a girls' night. If you just need to, if you're like me and just sometimes you get the Sunday scaries, it's a great movie to pop on if you don't have anything to do on a Sunday afternoon. It's also it's a fun date night movie, I would say, because it's just very over the top and campy and silly. And yes, there are CWTW for what I said about an booter, but outside of that, for the most part, it's just very B horror, over the top nonsense. But it's a lot of fun. And as we've talked about before, and we'll always talk about here, as someone who analyzes movies, like, I will analyze movies to no end. I love doing it. Not every movie that you watch has to have a deeper meaning. It can sincerely just be a silly, over-the-top movie to make you feel better, and that is okay. I am here to tell you, if you did not know, that is okay. If people give you grief for it, just ignore them, because movies strive to make us feel emotions, and sometimes that emotion is just relief or de-stressing, decompressing. That can be a feeling that movies give us. Like, oh, this is a comfort movie, just like we talked about my comfort shows this week. That's fine. It does not have to be symbolic or represent anything. It can just be a silly movie about a notebook that you write in and bad things happen. That is totally fine. So, that is Devil's Diary. I know this is a shorter episode this week, but that is that it's just a very silly movie. So I don't have a lot of representation, or it's not a horror analog series where there's a lot of episodes to talk about, but definitely give it a read. Like I said, all of our blogs are over on bmovies.blog. It's in the description box below. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram, Lisa_Frankenstein_. Also be sure to follow Elliot, reading.with.red. She's a bookstagram. It's awesome. She does a ton of recommendations. She occasionally does some giveaways. She puts in her bio what she's reading. And she is the other half of the B Movies channel. So definitely give her a follow. Follow us on the B Movies Instagram at B Movies channel. And I just want to thank all of you for watching. Again, the reception we've gotten has been great. I was so nervous to start doing this, but I really just appreciate all of you. I hope you enjoy our little time together each week. I know that I do. And I can't wait for next month. I'm so excited. We have so much cool content planned for all of you. And be sure to follow me too, because during Halloween, I put out disclaimer posts on my Instagram to tell people, like, if you don't want to see multiple daily posts from me, mute me, because I do 13 days of costumes. I do a 31-day horror challenge that I'm on Film Street does every year, but I also do something creative with it. And then we're doing 6 posts a week, actually, in October. It's a good reminder. So be sure to subscribe to the B Movies blog as well to get those straight to your inbox. And we will also be doing, and we'll talk about this more next week, Bite-sized Sundays are going to look a little bit different in October, but I think that you're really going to like it, because it's definitely, there's going to be more content, and we'll talk about that more next week. But with everything out of the way, I think all that's left to do is fade to black.